Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Torment Tides of Numenera. And yeah, we've got two more of these fun Meercasters to go through. Now, I can't remember, I remember picking this up the first one, this one, the Azure Steel Meercaster, a long time ago, but I can't remember actually if we used it or not. So, this one, the Frictionless Meercaster, I'm fairly certain we never touched. So I want to try this one first, just in case the other one turns out to be a dud. Okay, enter the Meercaster. Because I want to try and get as much out of these as possible. Of course, I leveled up from doing the last episode. And so I was able to mess around with that a bit more. So I want to make sure that we've got as much as we possibly can before heading into the next bit. As your consciousness coalesces, you find yourself in an underground bunker which is shaking from an attack above. You stand mid-salute in front of a cast-off encased in an articulated metal carapace. He's so skeletal you doubt he could move without it. You remember his name is Lovak, Pajraken's second-in-command in the Endless Battle. 3 advisors sit behind him. Lovak shakes his synth-encased head and addresses you. Don't worry about the message, Barakiel. Barakiel? Yeah, we'll go with that. It's been rendered moot. We're just lucky Commander Reckon made it out of Mielavast alive. She missed the destruction of the sanctuary by moments. A thunderous explosion rocks the bunker, sending everyone staggering. As you can see, we have troubles of our own, Lovak says, getting back to his feet. The Changing God's latest ploy has paralyzed the Reconciler of Truth. Of course, Heaven's Rejoinder remains functioning, which means we cannot reverse their successes while they can reverse ours. He leads you to a strategy table showing a 3-dimensional projection of a battlefield across parallel realities. He swipes through several images, all of them show your army on the verge of defeat. He shakes his head. We are in more danger now of losing this war than since the first died. I'm afraid I must send you out again, Barakiel. We must save the Reconciler. How did the massacre at Mielavast happen? How did the shields come down? I don't know. Maybe the sorrow finally grew strong enough to smash through. Maybe there was a traitor. I have heard nothing. What are the Reconciler of Truth and the whatnot? Lovak laughs. Again, eh? I suppose one of the hazards of dancing so often through realities and times is that it plays hell with your memory. Not to worry, I'll explain it once more. Centuries ago, the First still lived. She found the Reconciler, a machine of the ancients which allowed the user to look at multiple versions of a recent event and lock reality onto the one they liked best, making it the only reality. With it, she began choosing realities in which we had won more battles than we had lost, and quickly drove the Changing God to the brink of defeat, until, that is, he acquired his own machine, Heaven's Rejoinder, which can undo the Reconciler's realities and make its own. Since then, our war has become one of feint and counterfeint, of competing and collapsing realities, where no battle is ever entirely won or completely lost, and where both sides look always for a final advantage. He sighs and looks at the table, where one by one the multiple battlefields are beginning to wink out, narrowing down to one, and it seems as if the Chalcedon, the Changing God's general, may have found his advantage at last. With the Reconciler sabotaged and Heaven's Rejoinder well defended, we may never turn the tide. Happy to do what you need, so long as there's opportunity for glory. I heard enough. I'm ready to serve. Excellent, says Lovak, and turns to his advisors, all cast-offs, you notice. Friends, what are your suggestions? How do we undo what has been done to the Reconciler without using the Reconciler? A scarred female cast-off in red armour speaks up. I recommend an all-out assault on the position of Heaven's Rejoinder. This will, of course, fail, but it will give cover for Barakiel to slip through the paths of the white nests and reach the Rejoinder from behind. There she can reset it, then destroy it. She pounds the table. Then we will be the only side who can change history. A male mutant, exquisitely beautiful except for a second mouth in his throat, speaks in melodious harmony. I suggest Barakiel uses the reality storm that ravages no man's land to find the Reconciler's saboteur. If she can navigate the shifting shards, she can stop the saboteur before he reaches it. She shrugs. This will only return us to the status quo, of course, but it will be easier for Barakiel to deal with one man than the deadly white nests. Any other suggestions? Asks Slovak. When there is no answer, he turns to you. I approve of either path. As it is you who will face these challenges, I leave it to you which you will choose. Tell me about these white nests. The white nests, says Lovak, are the catacombs where the Chalcedon breeds his Ceretharian war moths. A horrible place. I don't know what the tunnels were originally used for, but now they are a tangled mess of webs and larvae. It's filled with traps, since the enemy knows the tunnels are a vulnerable approach, but the real danger is the moths themselves. Horrible creatures whose phosphorescent glow withers the flesh and maddens the mind. Once they sense your presence, they will not rest until you are dead. It won't be an easy approach by any means. Okay. What about this reality storm then? We and the changing God have used the Reconciler of Truth and Heaven's Rejoinder so often and at such cross purposes that there are places in the no man's land between our front lines where no single reality holds sway. Fractured ripples of possibility drift across the field like squalls of rain, changing all in their path and offering entry into other times and versions of the present. And of course, once one enters a different version of reality, then all the shards one encounters in that reality are different too. It's a less deadly route, but it's still possible to be lost forever in such a maze. We're good. We're good with our head. Let's jump through the maze, shall we? Any objection to Barakiel's choice? I approve, says the cast-off with two mouths. It can be done quickly and the risk is low. And if Barakiel is lost, says the cast-off in red armour, we can try the assault I suggested with someone else running through the white nests. Very well, says Lovak, standing. Barakiel, these are the gloves of the saboteur. You'll use these, their scent and their tides, to navigate the shards and find your man. That's cool. I like that. Under heavy guard and with force shields and temporal randomizers in place, Lovak escorts you to the edge of no man's land. It is scarred with trenches and thick with roiling smoke, but more unnerving are the drifting shards of time and reality that cross it like summer storms. In one great army's move, in another towering constructs with glowing eyes burn the homes of fleeing villagers, and on and on. Lovak points ahead. There, somewhere is your path. Use your instincts to hunt this villain down, but take care. Too many jumps and you will enter realities where the storm is fading and shards closing. You could be trapped in a distant reality with no way back. Okay. You thank Lovak, then walk towards the storm of shards, holding the saboteur's gloves in one hand. Strange as it seems, the scheme seems to be working. Some of the shards do not have the right smell at all, and you are able to discount them entirely. Some are harder to decide upon, but eventually you are able to narrow it down to 3: a moonlit lake, a canyon full of glancing sunlight, and flitting shades, a storm of swirling chaos. Something tells me that the moonlit lake and the sunny canyon are not likely to be the places that this person is, because to sabotage this stuff, let's face it, this seems like hell on a battlefield several times over. So let's go for this. Insects swarm around you in great clouds, their buzzing becoming an inhuman howl. Then you notice that they are not insects, but they are tiny constructs. They are also not interested in you, though they bump into you constantly. Instead, they are battling each other, circling and swooping at impossible speeds. It is a vicious battle, and it appears it has been going for some time. You are knees deep in tiny carcasses. Ahead of you, the insects buzz in and out of a drifting shard of the reality storm. You hurry to it, but find only one matches the scent of the gloves. The one you just came from. Okay, maybe not then. Let's go for the moonlit lake then, shall we? You are floating in a dark lake next to a large square raft. On it, kneeling in perfect rows, are 100 women, all bald, with a strange brass device on their backs, and all praying. In unison, they press their foreheads to the planks, and their devices open. A vapour rises from them, then combines into a twisting white column which snakes toward the far side of the lake. Looking in that direction, you see another raft crowded with praying monks, also emitting a snaking vapour. In the middle of this strange conflict, the reality storm stirs the water. You swim for it, but the only shard left that matches the scent of the gloves. Okay, fair enough, so it has to be the Sunny Canyon then. You stand at the edge of a sunlit canyon, watching an aerial battle between naked men and women strapped into wood and cloth glide wings. Half of the wings bear the colours of the changing gods, and the other half bear the firsts. The flyers slash at each other with long razored poles, trying to tear fabric and flesh, and every now and then a wing goes spiralling down into the canyon. You see the shard storm swirling on a messer in the middle of the canyon and race for the bridge that leads to it. 3 shards feel promising. A dense forest at night, rolling farmland in the setting sun, and a muddy battlefield in the rain. Again, I'm going to go for the muddy battlefield first because it seems to make more sense. On a muddy battlefield battered with rain and littered with bodies and broken mantis war constructs, the Chalcedon stands with the rest of his command as Pajrak and her generals kneel before him, and she offers him her sword. All around this scene, the Chalcedon soldiers are leading away Paj's surviving troops, both cast off and human. There aren't many left, most dead on the field and being picked over by murdered corpse thieves. Beyond them, you can just see the reality storm's shifting ripples. You hurry through the rain toward them, and as you get close, 3 of them seem better than the others. A glimmering swamp, a plain of giant bonfires, and a frantic battle. If it was, I don't think it's the swamp, but if it was sabotaged, then I would imagine it wouldn't be in the middle of a frantic battle, but it would be around like a camp at night. So in the glow of the raging bonfires, huge teams of slaves haul on ropes, dragging 2 50-meter high wheeled statues toward each other as overseers crack whips across their backs. The statues are crude representations of the changing god and the first, made of painted wood, and upon each of their heads stands a hero, cloak flapping, sword at the ready, screaming amplified insults at the other in a language you do not understand. You don't wait to see the statues and their heroes collide. Instead, you race for the reality storm, just visible in the darkness beyond the fires, but the only shard left matches... Okay. Let's try the glimmering swamp then. It is night. You are hip deep in a stinking swamp, watching hideously mutated primitives flee through a maze of reeds and drooping trees as soldiers in the colours of the first stalk them, firing beam weapons. You back into the shadows as 2 of the soldiers pass your position, and you see that they are not human. Though they walk upright on their hind legs and have paws with opposable thumbs, they are Seskii hounds, somehow evolved into humanoid shape. The hunt vanishes again into the night as you see the shimmer of reality storms through the trees, and approaching it you find that 3 shards seem more likely than the rest. A gloomy battlefield, an arena full of roaring crowds, and a tiny grimy grey street. Go for the battlefield first, shall we? Because that seems to make more sense. A train of transport sleds glides to a stop on a desolate battlefield, and Pajrekan steps out with her command and looks around. For as far as the eye can see, the battlefield is covered in corpses, both outcast and human, burned to sticks inside their uniforms. There are no living troops at all. The only movement in the roiling smoke that rises is the roiling smoke that rises from the broken hulks of shattered war machines. Paz chokes to see it all. Is this what victory looks like? She asks and then hangs her head. What have we done? What have we done? Off to the west, half hidden in a grey haze, the reality storm churns. You edge from view and scurry towards it. And as you near it, you see, looming within, the massive form of the Reconciler of Truth. Without hesitation, you leap through. Landing near the Reconciler, you see one of the guards who usually protect it, nor the walls or doors that shield it. In fact, it isn't in its chamber at all. Instead, it seems to be some sort of bubble outside time and space. You circle it and find, crouching by the far side of it, a wiry man in dark armour, focused on cutting through its metal skin. You recognise him as Zeronth? Yeah, Zeronth. One of the Chalcedon's wiliest operatives, whom Barichiel has tangled with more than once. As you creep up on him, he whips around, alarmed. He throws his hands in front of him, pleading. "Bruna," he gasps. "Wait, hear me out. I have information you need to know." Tell me. You know that the Sorrow has destroyed Miela Vest, yes? Well, know that it was your commander, Paz Raken, who dropped the compound's shields and allowed it to enter. That is why she was there and how she escaped in time. Miela Vest has always been a place of peace. Paz broke that truce. So many of our brothers and sisters dead, more than ever died in this foolish war. I know you to be an honourable opponent, Bruna, but your leader is savage and insane. If you care for the future of the cast-offs, go back to her and confront her. Stop her from killing any more of us. Go and I will consider it. You think I'm going to fight Barichiel, the living blade? I'm no fool. He bows and steps away from the Reconciler, then turns and dives through a reality shard and is gone. As he leaves, the bubble around the machine fades and it returns to its proper place and time. You turn to the shards to do the same. You retrace your steps through the reality storm and return to Lovak's bunker. He greets you with open arms and a smile. "Success, my friend. Whatever you did, the Reconciler is operational once again, and we have recovered our recent losses. I have told Paz Raken of your heroism, and she wants to thank you personally. Go to her now. She is in the Bloom, meeting with the Memavira. I believe she has more work for you there." Lies, most likely, meant to turn you against our commander. I would not speak this foolishness to her. When you see her, it will lower her opinion of you. Now go. Okay. "Thank you," says Lovak. "My regards to the commander." With a bow, you leave the bunker and make your way to the Z-Drake roost. There, you mount a drake the grooms have saddled for you and fly towards Sager's Cliffs. When you reach it, you bank down into its shadow and land near the living, glistening mountain of flesh that is the Bloom. The guards at the nearest orifice tell you the way to the Memavira's fortress, and after entering and travelling through the Bloom's viscera and ventricles, you reach her gates. Her guards admit you without a word, and you are ushered into an antechamber and told to wait. From behind the door, you hear the voice of Paz Raken raised in frustration. "If the Sorrow is strong enough to enter Miela Vest," Paz is saying, "then it's our primary enemy. We must either finish the Changing God quickly or unite with him to destroy it." "You have it reversed, sister. We will use the Sorrow to destroy the Changing God. All we must do is turn it his way. And I'm to take this message to the survivors, that they should let the monster which killed us walk free, hoping it might strike our enemy first." Why don't you tell them? Why don't you tell them, sister? Why not reveal yourself at last? It isn't time. She cuts off. Who is this? Ah, Barichiel, the loyal blade you asked me to send for, and it seems she has already learned your secret. Then she had better be loyal indeed. Introduce us. Barichiel, says Page, may I present the first, our brave leader. So brave she's hidden behind my skirts for over 100 years. Enough, Page, snaps the first, then looks you over. I asked Commander Reckon to bring me her best, for in the coming days I will have need of an agent who will act without flinching, no matter what the order. Is that you, Barichiel Bruna? Are you ready to do anything to stop the changing god? See how it's possible that Page did it. Wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, she seems to have done it to try and catch the sorrow on the instructions of the first. So I'm honoured to be. Yeah, then I shall have to trust that Page remains loyal to me, won't I? General, what are your orders for your blade? Barichiel, protect the first and follow her orders in all things. As of now, she is your commander, not I. The last child is coming, Barichiel. We must be prepared. Okay, so that was just before we turned up and beat the crap out of all of them. So that's alright. That was an interesting one. And so, how long was that? How long did that take us? 20 minutes. So let's take a look at this last one then. Which again, I'm not sure. Okay, no, so we've already used that one. So that's everything. Right, so this way leads to what happened just before we fell from space when the Sorrow attacked. So let's go and take a look at this one next then, shall we? Actually, hold on. Before we go and do something stupid, let's just do that in case we get killed again. Countless scratches and wounds mar the surface of this door. Someone made a great deal of effort to get inside, but to no avail. As you approach, however, the bars of the door shudder and bend. It wants to let you in. Place a hand on the surface and let's roll. Okay. Excuse me. You're in a glass dome several kilometers above the ground. Blue sky fills your vision. Beneath you is a floor of golden metal. A deafening klaxon blares in warning against something. I mean, I wouldn't call that deafening. It's annoying, but I wouldn't call it a deafening sound. A familiar-looking stasis chamber lies in the centre of the dome. A chest fashioned from synth and cold iron sits to one side. Behind the pod, a diamond hovers in the air, scattering prismatic light. A pedestal glows near your hand, a deep azure blue. There is nothing that seems to warrant the blaring klaxons, yet you know the alarm sounds for a reason. Look at the thing. It's the ghostly woman's stasis chamber, the real one, from which the labyrinth's constructions were made. The changing god's daughter lies inside. Her skin is pale and there are dark circles around her eyes. Her chest rises and falls as though she was sleeping soundly. This laboratory, this body, must belong to the changing god. Open the synth chest. The chest is locked with a keypad bearing 17 strange symbols. You're about to lose hope when you realise you know which symbols to press to unlock the chest. You enter the correct code before the memories slip away. The chest opens with a soft click. The only items of note inside are a wooden shaft with a multicoloured crystal tied to one end and a large hemisphere made of azure steel. Examine that. There is nothing mystical about the wooden haft, but the crystal on the end is definitely from a prior world. You think it might be a domination rod. The crystal saps the will of any creature it touches. Okay, we'll take that. Examine the steel dome. It's heavy, too heavy to lift by yourself. Your best guess is that it's a wall projector of some kind, probably brought up here as a defensive measure for the laboratory. Unfortunately, you can't see any indication of what kind of barrier it would create, nor any way to activate it. Okay. Investigate the hovering... Oh, good grief. As soon as you approach the diamond, the top of it blooms open. An illusory globe appears within. Words and images speed across its surface. A woman's voice speaks directly into your mind. Welcome back. Please state your inquiry. A wave of familiarity slams into you. The changing god used this as an archival device. He kept his records of his thoughts and experiments. Specific records can be retrieved by speaking a search term. Alarm. There are no matching entries. Please restate. Okay, the tides. Previews of several entries flit through your mind. There are scores of results, and you can't figure out how they're organised, nor how to quickly ascertain whether an entry will be useful to you or not. It takes some time to sift through them for something useful. You'll have to be careful what you spend time researching. Finally, you find one that's what you're looking for. A male voice, a voice of the body you are wearing, speaks in your mind. The tides have proven to be an extremely fruitful path of exploration that but don't realise what they have unearthed. They saw these trinkets as just more Numenera, but these forces may even have the power to turn back death itself. I certainly hope so for her sake. Okay, then let's go and touch the thing. The pedestal dims and a man appears between in front of you. Okay, he's not all there. You can see the clouds and vista on the other side of him. He looks worried. We have a problem. It's here. His mannerisms remind you of the spectre from the labyrinth, though his face, clothing and voice are not the same. What are you? Now's really not the time to get into this again. I'm an intelligence put in charge of this laboratory, and either created from or overlaid with your knowledge and personality. As your advisor, I refuse to argue about the nature of my existence until we're safely out of this mess. What's here? Why are the alarms going off? The sorrow is here. It found us somehow, and now it's trying to break into the lab. We need to get you out of here. Okay. What does it want? I couldn't tell you what it wants. Maybe there's something in your archives. You told me we woke it up somehow, and when we did, that first consciousness transfer. Oh, somehow when we did that first consciousness transfer. Okay. How close is the sorrow? It's almost broken into the base of the tower. Probably will any minute now. You make the alarm stop? Sure, just don't forget the reason for the alarms. There is a thunderous boom. The floor shakes and sways beneath you, causing you to lose your balance. Outside the dome, the horizon tilts back and forth, giving you a sense of vertigo. The spectral man appears in front of you suddenly, a look of human terror on its face. It's broken into the tower. It's only a matter of time before it reaches us here. We have to do something fast. What should we do? I strongly advise you to save yourself, thus saving both of our minds. Unfortunately, that would mean leaving her. I don't like it any more than you do. The only other options I can think of are somehow stop the sorrow by force unlikely, or figure out what it wants. I don't think we have enough time for either, but maybe you know something I don't. Maybe you can find something in your archives to help us. Just be careful what you research. We don't have time. Okay, archival diamond, the sorrow. I don't know what the sorrow is exactly, just that it's old, really old, and it doesn't pay much attention to established laws of space-time. I wonder just how established those laws really are. Anyway, I first came across mention of it in my research of the tides. It appears to have been some kind of guardian against tidal abuse. Evidence suggests that it may have been solely responsible for the destruction of one of the prior worlds. My experiments with consciousness transfer appear to have woken it up. I don't believe it's after me specifically, but I have come to believe it was responsible for the destruction of my previous laboratory. Okay. Escape. I won't take any risks with this new body. I have initiated a failsafe procedure to transport me away should something happen to me or the laboratory. If any unforeseen danger presents itself, I should be able to escape to a backup location. Suddenly there is a tremendous popping sound. The air sizzles, causing every hair to stand on end and your entire body to tingle dangerously. The spectral man appears in front of you again. It puts its hands on your shoulders, though you feel nothing. It shattered the electrostatic shield. If it breaks through the plasma window, we're done for. What's your plan? You've got a plan, right? Do you control the teleport failsafe? Yes, now there's a good idea. Problem is, it can only teleport one person. The girl, your archives, and your equipment will all be lost. Of course, you can just recreate me from your own consciousness, so it won't be a total loss. Anyway, why do you ask? Can you... I could, but what's the point? Outside the stasis chamber, she'll die within months. A couple of years at best. It's better for you to live, so we can find a way to save her. Can you activate it immediately? To get you out? Absolutely. That's probably the safest course, to be honest. Just say the word. Remember, though, it is a failsafe. If you want to wait until the last minute to get something to try... something for her sake, it's safe to do so, probably. See, now, if we change this and the changing god dies, then we all die and we might not be able to help and save Mika, who's seemingly stored in our mind anyway, to one extent or another. Like, there is a potential ability to transfer her out of us again in the future, maybe. But if she's really as sick as they say, like, I feel like saving the changing god is the priority here, because otherwise everything goes to shit. Good idea. This is hard for me too, believe me, but I think we'll figure out some way to get her back. Absolutely. Immediately, your body begins to fade, teleported somewhere else. Although your body is gone, your awareness somehow remains here in the laboratory. The spectral advisor is gone, and the sorrow breaks through the last defences and up through the hatch. Its tendrils flay the laboratory all around it. The chest and the diamond are cut to ribbons. The chamber disintegrates in a ball of purple flame, and the last thing you see as your mind fades from this body is the face of the young girl melting and boiling into ash.
I'm ready to learn something new.
That's not good. Oh. The ghostly woman appears next to you. She stares at the door you just emerged from, her eyes as round as the moon. I remember now, all of it. I told you I was aware of everything while I was in that chamber. I remember my father abandoning me. I remember you abandoned me too. After the sorrow destroyed the stasis chamber, I woke up here in the labyrinth. I was aware, though. Not for a long time, not until you came and started changing things. What do you mean I started changing things? You were the last cast-off, the one my father created to witness this place, to command it. You have been changing the labyrinth since you were first born. You are the one who will decide our fate. So you're not just a memory. No, I'm not a memory, nor a reflection, nor a lacuna. I'm Mika. The full consciousness of the changing god's daughter. Yeah, so potentially we can pull her out and stick her in another body, because apparently the changing god can, you know, create bodies. So why not? Could I have saved you? Of course. You can change reality. It's what you've been doing all this time. She drops her chin to her chest. Then again, maybe not. My father's advisor was just as self-centered as he was. It was his self, after all. He might have teleported you to safety even if you had told him not to. I don't know. Maybe there are some realities you can't change. Okay, I understand everything, so what do we do now? There is one more mirror. Enter it. Open the resonance and end this for all of us. Go, there isn't much time. Oh, I leveled up again. Awesome. Let's level this up before we jump in. Fire, extra effort, skills. I don't think those are going to help us all that much. An ability. We can improve Maelstrom, which wasn't a bad one, to be fair. Yeah, we'll improve that. I mean, we might not get to use it really, but we'll do it. So, okay, this is the one where we died last time. Let's give this another go. This time we'll just run and try and escape and get away. Right, you are in the Great Hall, blah, 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 blah. It's all machinery. Are you certain this procedure will give you final control over the cast-offs? Of course. Let's go. Try to remember how the staff works. Yeah, we can remember. Okay, so step into the glowing pod. Main calm. All well within normal parameters. That's all cool and groovy. Get out, the sorrow is going to destroy you. Okay. Study the map. We know the map. How do I flee this body? On the other side of the station, just drop the body and move. This cast-off won't even know what life is. A pity, but just surge your mind over there. Flee your body. You stop and focus your mind, attempting to use the tides to carry you, reaching out, trying to find a willing receptacle. All that waits is a void and promise of oblivion. Update. You're going to have to run for it. The sorrow destroyed the your prime candidate. Okay, that's fine. Pull off one of the plates. Do you have anything that can stop the sorrow? Stop? No? Slow? Maybe. Look around. Okay, can we... What about the construct? I can't remember what would... We pull off the spike. Okay. Run. Run across the bay, use the injection, throw the platelet, climb into the pod and escape. Yes. You slip into the cocoon, activate the ejection sequence and trigger it. The membrane embraces you, forcing you to drop the staff, and begins to slide free of the killing ground of the moon. And then you're to two blazes, as if it's tearing open, an onslaught of the tides, all in blue and silver, a stream of information too fast and too large to process. A mighty blast buffets the cocoon, and you feel one of the sorrow's inky tendrils caressing your cheek and burning into your mind, searing away knowledge and memory, even as you tumble toward the earth. Amidst unspeakable pain, you feel something new forming within you, but you lose consciousness before you can identify what it is. So that was me? The changing god never actually managed to leave the body? That's why he's still in here with me. I'd hoped you would open that for me, and here we are, the Spectre says, and his voice is not tied to his body. It pours from the walls around you, from the shifting floor beneath your feet. It's time for some hard truths, child. Before he can finish, the air twists in the room, an explosion of light, and a scarred figure steps out of it. Oh, it's the first. How's this for truth? The resonance is mine. It belongs to me and all cast-offs. I have worked too hard for it to be otherwise. Stand aside, old man, and let us determine our own destiny. Your destiny. You are part of me. Your destiny was never yours to determine, and the resonance is not yours to claim. Only the latest cast-off can open the door. That body and I are the only ones capable of using the power beyond. You are out of your depth, Maralel, and this no longer concerns you. I needed you to open the door, and you've done that. The cage I can handle on my own. When I enter the resonance, it will be to return my errant children to my mind where they belong. Leave me to it, and we have no further quarrel. What say you? You'd think someone who calls himself the Changing God would learn from his mistakes. I'm not here to debate who I am or what I've done. I'm here to claim what's mine. And what's that exactly? You're her ghost, the one that haunts me. My daughter is dead, do you hear me? I can't bring her back, no matter how hard I try. Is that so? She has nothing more to say, but her brow crinkles just slightly. She's confused, as though she doesn't recognize the Spectre as her father. Is that creature my father? He looks like what I remember, but he doesn't feel. Enough. I don't wish to fight you, Cast-Off, but neither will you keep me from this. What will it be? She is your daughter. She told me so. No, she's not real. I want her to be, but wanting doesn't change anything. My daughter is dead. Now will you let me enter the resonance peacefully, or must I force my way in? The resonance is not yours to claim. The real Changing God died when I was born. You're just a backup of his memory. Ridiculous. I've served our sire for centuries. This is him. You speak in simple terms, but you're dense. Even for one of my cast-offs. I am the Changing God, and you are standing in my way. Fool, if anyone Oh, the voice of Calestige booms forth from the walls themselves. Fool, if anyone deserves the mantle of the Changing God, it is this child. He has accomplished things you and even I could never have accomplished on our own. Why, I am a god myself now because of him. I don't know what you are, but I know who I am. He sighs. Consciousness needs to be continuous. You're a copy of what the Changing God was. This is the Changing God's daughter, yet she doesn't recognize you. You weren't born, you were made by the Changing God. You need me in ways the Changing God wouldn't. You could not activate the resonance chamber without me, nor even open this door. You oversimplify. The accident made me a prisoner here, and now, the short time later, I have control here. In the very root of your mind. But you weren't born. You were made. You weren't born either. Is this your definition of life then? Will you try to argue both of us out of existence? Yes. Yes, I will. It's the Changing God's daughter, and she doesn't even recognize you. He flinches and turns to face her. She meets his eyes, blinking once, and shakes her head. You're not her. You're not her. Of course you don't know me. He turns his head from her entirely, staring into the dark. I awoke when the Changing God left my body. I'm real, you're not. You have no concept of how you awoke. You're an organic echo, left over thoughts framing a mind. This is futile. You're a copy of what the changing god. I know who I am. This is foolish. Enough of this. You're right. At first I convinced myself I wasn't whole anymore, that something had broken in me or been left behind. But it makes sense. I'm not him. I'm close as anyone but the changing god is dead.
I'm ready to take my...
Good. He lets his hands fall. Bit by bit he begins fading away. Is it true then? Has our sire been gone all this time? He studies you for a moment. It would seem you and I are no longer have a quarrel. You did it. He's gone. You've accomplished something I could never achieve. I suppose I owe you my gratitude.
Action! Here I come!
So, now what? Let's go and press the door. Boop. Pulsing waves of heat roll down the stairs, and you hear a low, continuous whirring that's somewhere between a sigh and a melody. The door is singing as though welcoming you back. Even in this low light, the wheel at the bottom of the door fairly glows. You feel your palms tingling at the sight of it. Something clicks in your mind and the door answers. Hidden gears spin behind the cage, and the door is opening to you and you alone. Oh, that's ominous. I should have saved again, shouldn't I? The sorrow is here in its full power, wearing the unique, unquiet psyches of its victims like a tattered cloak. Filaments of light and energy leak from it, strange colours that correspond to no tides you know. Its tendrils flutter and flap in an unseen breeze. You come before me at last, yet we have met so many times before. Its voice is a hissing multitude. One voice stands atop the rest, a woman's voice, soft and deep. It gives me no pleasure to meet you in this place, but you and your kind have left me no choice. Every body your sire creates abuses those forces you call the tides. They draw energy from those around them. In so doing, you weaken the seals of energy you do not comprehend. You increase the amount of suffering in the world. Every attempt at mitigating that damage has failed. Every step results in misery. You are the first in millennia to hear me speak in an embodied language. You are persistent, tenacious, and durable, and so perhaps words will suffice where destruction has failed. It is time to bring this experiment in immortality to a close. While the creature speaks, its thoughts assault you, crushing your mind in an alien embrace. It takes an extreme effort of will to shut them out, just so you can speak. How have the tides increased suffering in the world? The tides themselves do not cause suffering, rather the abuse of them in your bodies. Your kind has wrought torment on the world in the name of the endless life. Okay, so torment being the name of the game makes sense now. You bring pain, large and small, deliberate and inadvertent. Without you, the endless battle would never have raged. Without you, the children of the Endless Gate would not have terrorized the world. Betrayal, slaughter, and bloodshed are the hallmarks of a cast-off's wake. The sorrow is silent for a moment. Then your sister, the slaver Tol Magur, cast her suffering into the child Rin. Though the girl had done her no harm, Artaglio sacrificed his courage, his sanity, and his life for you. Your sister Matkina took her adoptive father's eyes, and though she mourned, she did not change her ways. Even the saintly Adoris brought torment into this world. She thought she drew my attention when she lashed out at me in Mielavest. No, she was already marked. In her body, your sire brought the jagged dream to Saga's cliffs to foment strife. Adoris rejected them, but chaos and misery trailed even in her passage through the world. Cast-offs bring pain. I'm trying to stop the abuse of the tides. Are you? We shall see. I know what they say of me, destroyer of civilizations, death's mistress, soul taker, ender of the circle. Yet I take no pleasure in destruction. My pursuit of your kind has been solely a matter of expedience. But you have come this far. Despite my attempts to stop you, I will give you a last chance at an alternative solution. When Adoris asked you what one life matters, you replied that it does not, that each life is a meaningless exercise in vanity. We shall see if you will stand by those words. Okay. What is this place? This place is the center chamber of your collective mind space. It is the resonance, the true expression of which your resonance chamber was but a shadow. In this place you touch the knowledge and strength of every cast-off ever created. Okay, so why are you here? When you escaped me on the moon, I placed a piece of myself here as a last resort. I have ridden here in your mind since then. Indeed, I could not have found the moon had you not returned to it in the mere, bringing me along with you. I called myself to myself in that reality, breaching the station defences to close the loop of time that brought me here, all to ensure that the power of resonance is not abused, that your kind does not worsen the world again. What are you? I am a guardian, a protector, a legacy of a forgotten people tasked to watch over that which they failed to defend. Okay, so I convinced the spectre that the true changing God is dead. Is that true? It is late to speak of truths and identities. The one you called the spectre was the embodiment of the changing God's life and memories. When you convinced him he was dead, that became true enough. All that remains of the changing God, all that he is and was, is here now in the labyrinth. Adoris said she never used a tidal surge in her life. How did she abuse the tides? The tides are one manifestation of that suffering. The surges are one manifestation of that suffering, rather. But your kind draw and distort the energies of the tides at a level you cannot understand. Her passage left lovers squabbling, children crying, and conflicts escalated that might have been avoided. Though she suspects this truth and sought the shelter of Miela Vest, even she has been the author of invisible miseries. Every one of you is the same. So what happens now? It is up to you. The question is, with what purpose have you come? I came here to stop you from hunting us. Then you must cease to exist. So long as you are fractured and bleeding across the world, I will hunt you. The years of pursuing your kind have been without surcease. I would return to dormancy, but I cannot until the tides are clean again. I hunt your kind to remove your contagion. Because you are here, you will make the choice of how the cleansing occurs, and then we will find rest again. My sire believed that subsuming all the cast-offs into himself would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? Perhaps for a time, if he could resist making no further cast-offs, but I have trailed him across the centuries, and I know that he could not resist. The lure of new experience is too strong for him to resist. He would awaken me again and again. What if the cast-offs were subsumed into someone else, someone who wouldn't perpetuate the cycle? Could you find such a person? I would consider it an ideal solution, yet consider this space. The Sorrow's arms sweep across the resonance, strangely aflutter, their movement bending your perceptions. This is a space too large for any mortal mind. Even one fractured through reality cannot hold it all. Only someone already attuned to the labyrinth might successfully contain your minds. Only one of your kind. You said someone attuned to the labyrinth could contain. Okay. The first said that severing the connection between us would stop you from hunting us. Is that true? The connection of which she speaks is the labyrinth itself. You would no longer draw your power from this place, and my pursuit of you would cease. Your sister's solution would have shattered this place. It would have destroyed the tidal seals that protect the populace from madness. My charter is to guard those seals, to protect that energy. Had her plan actually worked, it would have destroyed the minds of thousands. I could not allow that to occur. Okay. What if I just want everything back the way it was? Is that possible? Yes, you and your kind can continue to exist, and I will continue to hunt you down, the ever-present looming spectre of your mortality, erasing you from history one by one. I will allow this. It seems like you'll allow any choice I make. What will you oppose? The resonance has the power to combine and sever, and to remove the protections over the tides entirely. Doing so will unfetter a truly dangerous force, imperiling the land and the psychic landscape for millennia. I cannot permit this choice and will resist it with all my strength. Remove the protections like you. I am part of those protections, but not the only part. The released tidal force would flow across this territory, devastating the mental landscape. Many would suffer serious damage to their sanity, and others would travel through the resultant psychic pollution impossible for thousands. Would find travel through the resultant psychic pollution impossible for thousands of years. This I will not allow. Okay. How do I choose? I have entwined myself through every piece of this place. It is mine. Tell me your choice and I will make it reality, if I approve. Okay. So, you said someone attuned to the labyrinth could contain the minds of the cast-offs. Does that include Mika? She has no body, but if you were to allow her to rise to the surface of your mind, to take your body, then it would be possible for her to absorb these experiences, though I do not know if it would cure the illness that spurred her father's experiments. Is there another way to sever the tidal connection? The resonance chamber was a blunt instrument. Alone it would have shattered and destroyed the labyrinth. The resonance, however, is a sharp edge. It can sever the connection cleanly and without harm, eliminating your kind and the threat you pose to the integrity of the tidal energies. It is the wise choice. Okay. Tell me, who can contain the consciousnesses? Only one who is attuned to the resonance. Only one who is here. Okay, so me then. Okay, so if you prefer that we all die, why don't you just sever the connection? I have manifested here, but I do not control the resonance itself. I am the lock on the door, while your thoughts are the key. You will remain paramount. Your will remains paramount in this place. I can resist your choice, but I cannot make the choice for you. Okay. So we've got suck up all of the consciousnesses of all the cast-offs. Go back to the way it was when I was born, or kill us all. Like, sucking all the cast-offs into my head would, like, that would suck for all the cast-offs, and I'd feel bad for some of them. Not many of them, but like Matt Keener, you know, I'd feel sorry for her, and like a couple of the others, but we don't really know that many of them, or the ones that we do know are already stuck in our head. So, like, lose Matt Keener, save the world. But alternatively, we could just go back to the way it was and everyone could have a fair choice, but then this thing is going to keep hunting continuously. Very well, I'm ready to make my choice. I await your decision. Okay, so so the judge is here. So, all of them into me. We're a cancer, kill us all. None of these choices are right. I have no right to choose the fate of so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. The only one who is blameless is Mika. She, the first. I reject your authority, Sorrow. I will use this to destroy you, and all of us will live free. See now, if it has no reason to lie to me, so doing that one sounds really, really bad idea, because that's just going to cause problems upon problems upon problems. But I'm kind of leaning towards this one. None of these choices are right, and I have no right to choose the fate for so many. I want to return everything and everyone the way it was. Yes, let us choose our own path. We will find a way. You have seen the wisdom of the way I have upheld for so long. We can solve this together. I hate to agree with her, but I don't want to die. You've made the right choice. Now that we know the truth, straight from the Sorrow's mouth, we can find a real solution. The webs of power that swirl around the Sorrow thrash and churn, its colours alternately dim and flash. The faces on its cloak moan in horror. Its voice is measured but seems to contain repressed rage. The horrors that your kind have visited upon the world would merit death sentence in any civilization. I warn you now, I shall continue to hunt your kind to your existence. That's no different than our lives now. I cannot destroy the knowledge and experience of all my siblings. It's too great. I cannot choose the fate of people I've never met. I won't sign a death sentence for them. I cannot kill people against their will. I've made my choice. Do it. We'll go with that one. You remain consistent throughout it all, little cast-off. Your life has been a quest for knowledge. I will honour this choice. It is not my solution, but it is a solution. Before we depart this place, I will seal the resonance forever. The labyrinth will fall apart. I cannot risk you or your siblings returning to this place to resume the cycle your sire created. I will leave a piece of myself here to guard the resonance, and I will pursue each of you to the end of your days. Is this your desire? Yep, do it. Prepare yourself. Lights flash and stuff happens. Sorrow's form envelops the resonance. Sea of flux and everything happens. So I guess one of them just gives us an ending where we die and everything kind of rocks on. Oh, Calisticia's back. You waken on the cold floor of the Memravira's fortress. When you open your eyes, vertigo assails you, and a momentary panic when you realise the Sorrow hovers here, its tendrils coiling and twisting. It speaks. You have chosen to retain the world as it is, with the resonance and labyrinth sealed. The potential for a disaster has been averted, and as a token of gratitude, I shall allow you, gathered here, a chance to resume your lives, but you shall all answer to me someday. I will come for you, be assured. Also, should you try to resurrect your sire's ill-considered schemes, I will come for you all the more quickly. But for today I grant you reprieve. Use your time wisely. You had a difficult decision and you made the right one. After all that I have done, you had every right to seek revenge on me. In your place, I don't know that I would have been as gracious. I am humbled. I still plan to stop the Sorrow somehow, but the bloom is no longer mine. Perhaps I should go rebuild Miela Vest. The drive to defeat death is what caused all of this in the first place. What if we just decide to live our lives? You've already made a decision for all of us. I plan to continue working on what I think is best. You didn't really expect me to change, did you? I don't intend that we'll meet again, youngest brother, but let's try to work together in the future if we do. Try to feel the presence of the Sorrow. Looming spectre of death that has haunted you your whole life is still present, but just lessened. The Sorrow has indeed backed off, but not very far. Okay.
After all of this, I hardly know what to expect. which is why you must continue without me. Perhaps I can find my answers in the data sphere. Perhaps I will return to you in time. Nothing in this timeline is certain, that I know. And it is why we must part ways. When you effect true change, I will feel it, and I will come. Until then, child.
Will I remember him out there? Will I care if I don't? We shall see. Calastige loses D'Artaglio's cunning fettle.
I'll take back the bloom, for starters. We'll see what happens after that.
My dear friend, I'm finally undo the damage the first did to you, to all of us.
You? Now? Sounds to me like this adventure has a brand new clock. And we have a head start. First one to Sagas is a Merden's crest feather.
Join the first in rebuilding Miela Vest. Set out to atone for the wrongs we've done. I don't think we've done that many wrongs, though, to be fair. Find a new path. Which is a silver tide, which is awesome. The sound of battle rings in the smoky air, but you smile to yourself. Let lesser creatures question themselves. Let others shudder and tremble at the damage their decisions have done. Your future is yours to shape as you will, and damn the consequences. Is this the end? With the Labyrinth, we got 2 achievements, Legacy and Successor. With the Labyrinth sealed, the cast-offs of the Changing God returned to their lives, great and small, well aware that they lived in the sorrow's shadow. True to its word, the sorrow came for them in time, one by one, and tore them from the fabric of the world. But for a short time at least, they were able to live out their lives in peace. You were remembered for your wisdom and selflessness. For many years to come, tales of your life inspired healers to know themselves, to better themselves, and to make the world a better place. Allagan sought his friend Orth, but never found him. In despair, he journeyed west, through Agokala and into the Steadfast. None could provide him the answers he sought, and he became a dead-eyed mercenary, hurling his living tattoos with abandon. He was a haunted man. He never knew what became of his family, and he never stopped looking. On the day of his death, the tattoos he bore screamed aloud and despaired. Calastige found the data sphere in a world of knowledge and delight. She and her sisters came to an understanding, unifying themselves completely. She turned her formidable intellect to understanding her new situation, creating a subtle haven from which to explore these vast worlds. What became of her after that is beyond human understanding. It is said Flamehead Angel manifests among those who remember the legends of the last cast-off. Of what she tells them, the stories remain silent. Matkina claimed the bloom, but only long enough to restore control. She wanted to shed the mantle of the White Death. She went to the cult of the Changing God to talk the histories of her siblings. She remained with them for a year, telling them that what she knew of the fate of her sire. Some of the cult quit in rage and grief. Others followed her back to Colne Village. They built a monument to her fallen creator, and a small community accreted around her. To her surprise, she found she was a natural leader, and the town of Colne Village began to grow. Cast-offs came and went. For a time, she knew peace. When the sorrow came for her decades later, she greeted it as a friend. Tibir returns to Sagas Cliffs, bowed beneath the weight of his guilt and the loss of his lover, Ovine. Bereft of any greater purpose, he rededicated himself to the myriad of schemes that had once sustained him, but they no longer did. Desperate to forget his failures, he buried himself in pleasure and took dangerous and despicable jobs to support his extravagant lifestyle. Near the end, he had no less than 5 contracts on his head, but the levies found him first. Guilty of crimes that would have once made him shudder, Tibir at last found himself before a jeering crowd, and the executioner had once feared death of Tibir. Eratis set off on his own, blazing bright as a comet. And yet a cloud of nanodemons that had exaggerated the cost of their hero's increased power. Soon Eratis was limping, then crawling. A week later, Traveller found an unremarkable straw-haired stranger lying dead in the road. He did not have a single wound. A single golden fleck marked the corner of his mouth. A light-footed boot prints. The corpse's feet were clean and bare. The Traveller noticed something. Rin never found a way back to her home. She searched for years but never found so much as a clue. Sometime after she turned 30, Rin realised she had given up her search, though she did not remember ever having made the decision consciously. She had simply stopped looking. She wasn't even sure when the last time she had looked. The realisation didn't bother her as much as she thought it might. She had grown accustomed to this world and her place in it. It wasn't home, but it may be close enough. The Trojan made Pico stronger, as advertised. Despite his loathing of the underbelly, he eventually returned there and became one of Folsom's enforcers. He didn't have a family, but he had respect, and to him that was good. Nim and Zeb remained in Cliff's Edge for many years. Nim became an artist, though her sculptures never sold very well. Zeb found work in the underbelly as a scavenger for the foreman. Their father, Zebak, returned from the Bloom finally. He was proud of what his children had become, and three of them joyful life together. The veterans of the Fifth Eye enjoyed their retirement from the psychic wars. They drank, they laughed, they retold the same tales to anyone who would listen, until one by one their minds faded, and soon there was only Ziobi, drinking with her friends by herself. The tiny construct children of the crippled foreman scattered throughout the city. They began building things at random, to the consternation of the master foreman. Finally, the master foreman called for his workers to bring the small constructs in to him. He was surprised at how much they had grown. Apparently, they had been building themselves as well as random pieces of the city. Now he instructs them, treating them as he does his human workers, though it is clear he favours them more. What's unclear is how they will continue to follow his instructions. The quakes beneath Sega's cliffs ceased for many years, despite Pelai's concerns that without leverage over them, the Stitcher would return someday. She would stand in the square some days, preaching her fear to whoever would listen. One day, Pelai announced that she had evidence that the Stitcher had returned. She called a group of brave souls to follow her beneath the city to stop them before it was too late. Several of her bravest listeners followed her into the dark. Nobody knows what has become of them. The children of the Endless Gate ran rampant over the valley. Within a month, every memorialist and traveller had been killed, except for the hardiest of explorers. Even poor Oddwald eventually found his spirit freed from its cage. Now, no caravaner will travel to the valley, and the necropolis has become a dungeon rather than a memorial. Late at night, the screams can be heard from as far as Colne village. Renard Artaglio's second continued his commanding officer's traditions as best he could. Artaglio's irregulars eked out a modest living in the Trojan slump, even without their leader. Maralel returned alone to the ruins of Miela Vest, looking with regret upon the destruction she had wrought. Yes, she did it. With a little more than a sigh, she marched forward and got to work. Oh. And that's it, guys. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this game, and there's still more that I could go back and take a look at as well, which I might go and do by myself in another playthrough, just to find out what would happen if I managed to save Eritis, or if I'd managed to do stuff with some of the others, like actually bringing Tibir to Dracogen and stuff like that, considering that maybe bringing Tibir to Dracogen would have been the thing that would have had us find out more about his lost lover, or if I'd sided with Allagan over Calistige, and so then maybe we could have found his family for him. But either way, it's all a lot of interesting stuff, and it's interesting hearing some of the little things as well, just about the random stuff that happened in Sagas. We didn't go through as many areas outside of Sagas as they actually put into the pen and paper game, though, which is interesting. I was kind of hoping for more in regards to some of the exploration, but of those areas and some of the things that's going on in them in regards to the stuff that's mentioned in the pen and paper game. But maybe that's just more potential for more Torment or more Numenera and more Monty Cook games-based games further down the line, because some of the other settings that they've got are also really cool for kind of RPG stuff, and other games as well, to be fair. But either way, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.